I started editing this video and I realized that I had never filmed an intro for it. So if you see like my hair length changing during the course of this video, this is the reason why. I'm filming the intro after I shot the rest of the video. Hi guys, and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I have a really fun video planned for you guys. Now, I'm the type of person who doesn't really rely on literary awards or book prizes when it comes to choosing the books that I want to read. So before this year, I never even really followed who won the Pulitzer Prize, who won the Women's Prize in Literature or the Man Booker Prize. Like, I never really followed any of that. But this year has been the year where I have really stepped out of my comfort zone when it comes to the books I have read. And so I thought that since I am stepping out of my comfort zone in so many other ways when it comes to books, I should now read books that are literary award winners or like some sort of prize winners. And so I thought that if I'm going to do that, I'm going to choose the highest prize there is in the world, and that is the Nobel Prize. And so in today's video, I'm going to be checking out books written by Nobel Prize winners, and more specifically, Nobel Prize in Literature winners. So I have chosen 4 books which I'm going to check out, and this video is actually in collaboration with Storytel, so I'm going to be listening to these audiobooks in this video. I've spoken about Storytel so many times on my channel. You guys know that I absolutely love this app. Storytel is an audiobook app which gives you access to over 2 lakh audiobooks in multiple languages, and for just a monthly subscription fee of 299 rupees per month, you get unlimited access to these audiobooks, and it is really amazing. I absolutely love the collection that Storytel has on their app, and I use it all the time. Now, like I mentioned, the subscription fee for Storytel is 299 rupees, but if you use the link which is there in my description, you can actually get 3 months worth subscription of Storytel for 375 rupees, which I think is an amazing deal, especially if you've still not checked out the Storytel app and you want to check it out for 3 months for a really discounted price. Then check out the link in my description and go start your audiobook journey. Now, the 4 Nobel Prize winners that I have chosen for this video are Abdulrazak Gurnah, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature this year, and then I've chosen Rabindranath Tagore, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and Ernest Hemingway. So yes, with that said, let's just jump into the video. Okay, so I just finished the first audiobook on my list, which was The Last Gift by Abdulrazak Gurnah. Now, Abdulrazak Gurnah won the Nobel Prize for Literature this year, and from what I read, it was about his depiction of like really intricate and nuanced immigrant stories, especially for people who have been exiled from Africa and have had to go to England, or people who have had to flee from Africa and go to England as refugees. So for depicting these stories in a very truthful way, I think that's why he got the Nobel Prize for Literature. And I must say, The Last Gift is exactly like that. It is an immigrant story, and it is so sensitive and so, like, it has so much heart, and it covers so many different topics. Like, it covers the immigrant life from so many different aspects, and it talks about the identity crisis that immigrants feel. It talks about just the hurt that they feel of having to leave their countries, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, and just the feeling of attachment that they always feel with their home countries, or they're trying to build a life in a new country. These are all the topics that this book covers, and it's done in such an emotional and sensitive way. Now, this book basically follows the lives of a family, and there are 4 members. There is Abbas, who is the father, there's Mariam, who is the mother, and they have 2 kids, Jamal and Hannah. Now, the interesting thing about the story is how each of these 4 characters deal with being an immigrant in different ways. So there is Abbas, who for some mysterious reason has been exiled from his country Zanzibar, and he's had to move to England, and set up his life over there. And because of all this turmoil and like the hurt that he feels because of being exiled from his country, he's kind of shut away his past and he doesn't like to talk about it. Then you have his wife Mariam, who was actually an abandoned child when she was young. So she grew up in the foster care system in England, but she has dark skin, so you know that she is actually a foreigner in that country. So her whole identity comes from not really knowing who her birth parents are and growing up in the foster care system. Whereas for the children, it's really interesting because like their parents, like Abbas and Mariam, because they've had such troubled past, they don't really like to talk about where they're from, where they came from. So the children basically grow up without any identity of, like, they don't have any connection to their roots, and they grow up with having a sense of kind of lost identity where they don't really know who they are, and they struggle through that. So it's a very, very nuanced and interesting look at the different facets of being an immigrant, and it's written so beautifully. I highly recommend you guys to check this out. It was an absolutely, absolutely beautiful book. Okay, so I just finished listening to The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Now, this was the first Ernest Hemingway book that I have ever read, listened to, like anything, because I don't know, I've always been very intimidated by these like old classic writers, but I actually really enjoyed Ernest Hemingway's writing style. I mean, it's not intimidating at all. In fact, he writes very simply and very beautifully and very vividly. Just the way he's described like settings and scenery and this little town by the sea, and also just the way he's described the sea and the fishes in the sea as like characters as a part of the story was so beautiful. And it's very, very vivid. Like it immediately transports you to that particular place, and that's why I really enjoyed his writing style, and I'm definitely going to pick up more books by Ernest Hemingway now. But yes, what this book is about is that it's very, very simple. It's basically what the title says, The Old Man and the Sea. So it's about this old fisherman whose name is Santiago, and he's not caught a fish in over 80 days. So he's not doing too well, and on the 86th day or something that he goes fishing, he comes across a very, very big fish. And the story is about his kind of passion and his mission to catch that particular fish and what happens when he tries to go and catch that fish. And I know that doesn't sound very interesting, but honestly, like the way Ernest Hemingway has described his whole like journey to catch that fish is almost like a thriller. Like I was at the edge of my seat listening to this audiobook, trying to figure out what was going to happen, because it's not an easy task for Santiago to catch that fish. He's explored quite a few themes in this book. Like I still don't know all of them. One of them is definitely like your ego and pride and your passion, and when like you should stop following your passion, or when you should not like give in to your ego and pride of doing something because it might actually be detrimental to you. So that's like a theme he's explored through Santiago's obsession with catching this fish. I really enjoyed listening to this audiobook. Like I said, at one point it actually feels like you're listening to a thriller because you need to know what happens next and whether Santiago will succeed or not. It was a very short audiobook. You can listen to it in an afternoon, and it was really well done in my opinion. Okay, so I just finished listening to The Home in the World by Rabindranath Tagore. It was a really, really beautiful story. So basically what this book is about is you have the main character Bimla, who gets married quite young to this man named Nikhil, who is like a Maharaja. So he lives in like a huge house, and it's like this ancestral home. And she lives in Parda for the first few years of her marriage, where she's not allowed to go out of the house or meet anyone else apart from her husband Nikhil. And Nikhil is kind of like a really, like he's very feminist, so he wants Bimla to explore the world. He wants her to see what's outside of their home, and he wants her to experience life in that way. So he brings her out of Parda. Now, at the time when Bimla is brought out of Parda is when the Swadeshi movement is happening in India. So this entire story takes place in pre-independence India. So the Swadeshi movement is happening, and Bimla kind of gets swept up into this whole Swadeshi movement. And in this whole time when she's actually found this passion for her country, she meets this young man named Sandeep, who is also very, very passionate about the Swadeshi movement. And Sandeep and Nikhil are very opposite in the way they kind of deal with things related to fighting the British. So Sandeep is very dynamic, he takes action, he's completely involved in the Swadeshi movement, and he believes in fighting for the freedom of India at any cost. So even if there's violence, there's anything, he believes in that. Whereas Nikhil is a bit more he's a bit more conservative in he wouldn't want to kill anyone, or he wouldn't want to fight against anyone, hurt anyone for the sake of getting independence. So he seems a little bit more tame and docile as compared to Sandeep's point of view of fighting against the British. And Bimla actually finds those qualities in Sandeep very, very exciting, and because she's so wrapped up in the Swadeshi movement, she actually falls in love with him. And basically this is the conflict which is there in the book, of Bimla trying to struggle between falling in love with the man who isn't her husband or being loyal to her husband. And it was just such a it's such a modern story, I feel, but it was written in 1918 or something like that. I didn't feel like I was reading something that was written so many years ago, and I absolutely loved it. Even the narrator, who is she's an Indian American theater actress, and she also does a beautiful job. The way she's changed her voice for each character suits the character so well. The way she voices Bimla's sister-in-law is just absolutely apt. It's so funny. It's amazing. The audiobook is also really, really good. The only thing I have against this book is that it's a little bit too long. The end kind of just seems to drag on forever and ever. But yeah, apart from that, it was a very, very thought-provoking, very sensitive, very modern story for something that was written in 1918, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so I just finished listening to 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and I have no idea what the F just happened. Seriously. This is the strangest, weirdest, yet most engaging book that I have ever come across. Oh my god. So, prior to listening to this audiobook, the only thing I had heard about this book was that it was the book that gave birth to the genre of magical realism. So basically, 100 Years of Solitude is the first magical realism book ever to be written. And I actually mentioned this in my vlog that I released earlier this week. You guys can check it out. It's a really, really, really fun vlog. Please go check it out if you haven't. But I'm basically listening to the audiobook in that vlog. And in the comment section, Smriti from Santreats actually wrote that at the same time when Gabriel Garcia Marquez was writing this book, there was another book being written in India which also was magical realism. So actually there were two books written around the same time which were about magical realism. And I can't remember what the name of the book is right now, so I'll just put a picture of it here. So this is the book that was written in India, which also was in the genre of magical realism, which I think is really cool. But basically what this book is about is it follows the lives of the people belonging to the Buendia family over a span of 100 years. It follows all of the generations of the Buendia family and the ups and downs of their life as they live in this fictional village created by Gabriel Garcia Marquez called Macondo. So through the lives of the Buendia family, you can kind of see the ups and downs of the town in which they live in, this village called Macondo. So you see the evolution of that town, and along with that you also see the evolution of the Buendia family. And basically that's what this book is about. But this town and the Buendia family are so messed up Like, they are so messed up. So many like really effed up things happen in this book. Like, oh my god, there's a character who eats mud. There is a whole lot of infidelity. There is a whole lot of incest. And there is just like war and murder and ghosts and people who never die and people coming back from the dead, and just like so many weird things happen, but it's great. Oh, also, there are about 15 or 20 main characters in this book, and they are all named the same 3 names. So like literally every male character in the book is either one of 2 names, and every female character in the book is also one of 2 names. Okay, so 4 names. There are 20 characters and they all have the same 4 names, which can get very confusing. And just like by the end, I stopped trying to figure out who was whose son and what was going on. I just went with the flow of the story, because even though it is like really messed up, the story was actually quite interesting. And the audiobook is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, the way the narrator has narrated this really twisted, messed up story is beautiful, because he has this really booming theatrical voice. So I don't know, he's just like he has just so much character and so much passion in the way he narrates these characters, and it was really fun to listen to the audiobook because of that. So yes, I really enjoyed this book. It was absolutely a crazy, wild, confusing, but in the end a very satisfying ride. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big fat thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you've read any book written by a Nobel Prize winner. All the audiobooks I mentioned in this video, the link for them will be down in the description box below. And also the link to get the Storytel app at that discounted price of 375 rupees for 3 months. That will also be in the description box below, so check it out. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.